Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. This is your update video regarding your second stimulus check, the stimulus package, the HEALS Act, and the extended unemployment benefits. In this video, we will discuss what we know so far. I have gone through all the current news and information available, and these are the most relevant and most important ones we have found. Just a friendly reminder, this is not a political channel. This is a channel on personal finance and investing. So while I do appreciate all the conversations and the dialogue we will be having in the comment section below, my only request is we keep it respectful towards each other, irrespective of which party you support, whether it be Democrat or Republican. With that being said, let's get right into it. So, the first news article, why there's still hope for a second $1,200 stimulus check despite stalled congressional talks. When it comes to a second round of $1,200 stimulus checks, there's good news and bad news. The good news, both political parties said they want to send Americans more direct payments. The bad news, Congress needs to agree on the next coronavirus stimulus package in order for that money to come through. Talks between top Democrats and the White House broke down because they would not come to a compromise on how much to spend on that legislation. Democrats have proposed more than $3 trillion in aid, while Republicans said their target is $1 trillion. Neither side wants to give the other side a victory right now, said Ed Mills, Washington policy analyst at Raymond James. The impasse prompted President Donald Trump to sign a series of executive orders earlier this month, addressing unemployment benefits, student loans, eviction protections, and payroll tax deferrals. But the other areas were left untouched, including state and local funding and aid for schools. The other initiatives with more popular support, such as the stimulus checks and aid for small businesses, could help bring politicians back to the negotiating table, Mills said. The big question is how soon that could happen. Congress has a September 30th deadline to come up with a budget for the next fiscal year. House Democrats are working on new legislation to provide support to the U.S. Postal Office, which some hope would help reopen stimulus talks. In the meantime, spending could slow down as household savings start to dwindle, and the enhanced unemployment benefits only expect to last several weeks. When lawmakers do resume talks, stimulus checks are expected to stay in the package. So this is a key point to note. It's one of the only areas that has truly bipartisan support. The longer we go without enhanced unemployment, the longer we go with the economy still not fully reopened, the greater the economic need is for those checks. Now, how big could the second stimulus checks be? The second round of stimulus checks could be around $1,200 per adult, as they were in the first payments that went out earlier this year. Those first checks were authorized by Congress in March. They included up to $1,200 per individual or $2,400 per married couple, plus an additional $500 per child under the age of 17. And here they go on to talk about the income limits of the first checks, so I will not waste your time talking about it. House Democrats have proposed giving $1,200 checks again, but this time raising dependent money to $1,200 for a maximum of 3 children. Families would be eligible for up to $6,000. The Democrats' plan also calls for eliminating the age gap on dependent pay. They also want non-resident aliens to be eligible for the money. Senate Republicans proposed a bill that called for $1,200 checks for adults and $500 for dependents. Their plan also calls for eliminating the age gap for dependents. One group of Senate Republicans, including Marco Rubio and Mitt Romney, put forward another bill that would change the plan to make the stimulus checks $1,000 for adults and dependents in order to give families with children more money. The bill also proposed allowing Americans who file jointly with spouses who are non-resident aliens to get checks. But I guess here's the big question. How long could it take before the checks arrive? Once the government gets the green light to send the money, it could arrive more quickly this time for many people. Those who have direct deposit information on file with the IRS will likely be among the first to get paid. That could include more people now that the 2019 tax season is over. The government also organized information on federal beneficiaries who receive Social Security, supplemental security income, or other support, which could mean those people would receive the second checks more quickly. Still, others may face a longer wait, as many people still have not received their first $1,200 stimulus checks. That goes particularly for those who do not typically file tax returns and who do not receive federal benefits. The IRS has created an online tool where non-filers can submit their information in order to get their checks, but there are deadlines they must meet in order to get the money this year. So guys, there are some URLs here as well, so you can check out the deadline or the online tool yourself. Just a friendly reminder, I try not to cover information I have already covered in a past stimulus check update, so if you have time, I highly recommend checking out the second stimulus check playlist I've made for you, and I'll link that in the iCard here. So guys, moving on to the next article, will you get an extra $300 or $400 unemployment benefit? It depends on your state. It appears 3 states, Kentucky, Montana, West Virginia, are opting to pay $400 instead of $300. As of Thursday, Montana was the only state to implement the $400 option, according to a FEMA spokeswoman. The federal government approved Montana's grant application this week. West Virginia submitted an application but hasn't received approval yet. Kentucky officials plan to submit a grant application on Thursday, according to Governor Andy Beshear. Paying out the $400 weekly benefit would be contingent on federal approval. Officials in Colorado said they haven't yet decided on their approach. The states that would opt for a lower sum is due to a specific program rules. The lost wages assistance was originally billed as a $400 weekly unemployment boost. It amounts to $300 from the federal government and $100 from the state due to a cost-sharing requirement that asks states to pick up the 25% tab. However, states can count the benefits they've already paid as fulfillment of that, meaning they don't have to kick in any additional money. That's the route most are taking. The majority of the states so far have indicated they'll take the $300 federal payment, with the match being provided by their existing unemployment payments. Kentucky, Montana, and West Virginia officials indicated they'll use the federal funding allocated to states through the CARES Act, a coronavirus relief law enacted in March, to pay for their $100 weekly portion. Other states may not have had the ability to draw from that coronavirus relief fund. About 25% of the money in the fund had been spent as of June 30th, and states may have already earmarked a large share of the remainder to future costs, according to Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. Many states are already borrowing from the federal government to cover current unemployment obligations and may have felt they couldn't afford to pony up another $100 a week from their own coffers. 19 states approved or applied. 11 states had received federal approval for the lost wages grants on Thursday. Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Utah. Arizona started paying benefits out on Monday, the first state to do so. 8 others had applied as of Thursday and are awaiting final approval. Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, California, Indiana, Michigan, Texas, and West Virginia, according to FEMA. States are only guaranteed 3 weeks of funding for the program. Additional funding would be evaluated on a week-by-week basis. States will pay benefits going back to the week ended in August 1st. The federal aid comes at a time when around 28 million Americans are collecting unemployment benefits and more than 1 million Americans file new applications for benefits each week. An extra $600 weekly unemployment supplement enacted by the CARES Act ended at the end of July. So guys, if you're from one of these highlighted states here, Arizona, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, Louisiana, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, New Mexico, Oklahoma, or Utah, and you have received your extended unemployment benefits, please leave that information in the comments below. Let the community know so everyone knows where those things stand. Also, as always, I will link all these articles that we will discuss in today's video in the description below. So if you want, you can check out these articles yourself. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. It lets me know that you guys found these videos useful or at the very least interesting. And if you think someone will find this video useful, feel free to share it with them. So guys, moving on to the next article. This is a very important article and it's from CNET.com. Second stimulus check payment schedule. How fast could the IRS send you more money? This is a slightly longer article than the previous two we've discussed, but this is an important article, so let's get right into it. The Democratic-controlled House of Representatives will return to Capitol Hill on Saturday, as in today, to vote on a rescue bill for the U.S. Post Office. Meanwhile, Republicans have been teasing their own scaled-back coronavirus relief package that leaves some wondering what will happen with the halted talks and if a second stimulus check would still be a part of the new law. If it is, we have a good idea how soon that money could reach eligible Americans. First, here's what we know. Both sides seem to agree that another direct payment should be part of the next coronavirus relief package to help tens of millions faced with unemployment, food insecurity, evictions, car repo, as the recession caused by the coronavirus pandemic continues to yo-yo. But with talks on another stimulus package paused since the Congress's August 7th recess, the pressure to strike a deal is mounting. The trillion-dollar question remains: when will it actually happen? Federal support is crucial, Barclays chief U.S. economist Michael Gapin told New York Times. The longer negotiations stall, the more likely there will be a hiccup in spending. Gapin added that it will be okay so long as a deal is made by September. The spending from the direct stimulus payment is designed to spur spending, which in return is theorized to spur economic recovery. If a bill can be passed, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin is prepared to start sending out direct payments within a week, which is about a third of the time it took to send out the first round of payments from the CARES Act. We've consulted the calendar to plot out how soon the check could come and who gets it first. Keep reading for more information. So how soon could the IRS deliver a second stimulus check? Several scenarios could pay out, though still unlikely. Republican and Democratic negotiators could resume discussions and reach an agreement in late August. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has called the House back into session to vote on a U.S. Postal Service bill, but it's unclear if stimulus package discussions will continue. Negotiations could also slide into September after the new congressional session officially begins. Complicating the timeline, the Republican National Convention begins this Monday, August 24th, and runs through next Thursday. Meanwhile, the Senate is adjourned until after Labor Day, which is September 7th. Here's some possible dates that another stimulus bill could pass and the IRS could send the first checks. For reference, we also include the timeline for the now expired CARES Act. The payments don't go out to everyone at once, so we'll go over which groups of people could get their payments first. So guys, here's a table where you can see when the second stimulus checks could go out. If you want, you could pause this video, take a screenshot so you have it as reference, but I will go through this. So you'll see that the CARES Act, it was passed on the Senate by 25th, March 25th. It was passed by the House the next day, and it was signed on the 27th. So the first checks went out around April 25th, so about 2.5 weeks there. Now, here are some possible scenarios. Best case scenario, the Senate passes it on September 8th, and the House passes it on September 9th, and the President signs it on September 10th. If that's the case, the first checks would go out around September 21st. Now, if we fail to meet the September 10th date for the President's signing, no matter what happens, even if it does next Monday, with the weekends and everything else, the earliest we could get that is the end of September. So whether the Senate passes it on September 10th or September 14th, people will get their checks on September 28th. So we'll see how this goes, but we are working with a tight timeline here. Now, which group would get their stimulus checks first? It's likely the IRS would use roughly the same calculations and tools for sending out the second stimulus check as it did for the first one, including the IRS Get My Payment tool for tracking your stimulus check payment and signing up for a direct deposit. The first group would be the IRS sent the first batch of stimulus checks to people who had filed their 2018 or 2019 tax returns and had already provided the IRS with their direct deposit information. Following that model, the next stimulus payment could first reach people who've already registered for direct deposit, either as part of their 2019 tax filing or before. This next group would be where Social Security beneficiaries who had direct deposit information on file with federal agencies. And that's about 80 million people who got their checks through direct deposit in the first week they were distributed according to the IRS. The third group would be paper checks. The paper checks didn't get mailed out until about a week later to people who hadn't signed up for direct deposit. But you could still register for the electronic bank transfer as late as May 13th. The fourth group would be the first economic impact payment debit cards, which are prepaid, began to go out in mid-May to about 4 million people. The fifth group, anyone who received their checks after June or who is still waiting to receive their stimulus payment. The IRS has told CNET that direct payments will continue through the end of 2020 for some individuals who were not part of the previous groups. And here's what could be holding up your check delivery for some and how to contact IRS. The URLs are in this article. So why your second stimulus check might arrive later than someone else's? Well, we don't know for sure until a new bill is passed and the IRS forms a plan to send out the checks, but here are the points to consider. This depends on which version of the bill passes. The CARES Act allotted for $500 for dependents age 16 and under. The Republican-backed HEALS Act also allocates $500 for dependents of any age. But the Democratic-backed HEROES Act suggests $1,200 for a maximum of 3 dependents. If a change is made, even if it ultimately leads to more money being sent, it could require the IRS to adjust its accounting system. That may potentially slow things down for you. and then your banking status. With the first checks, people didn't submit direct deposit information to the IRS and had to wait longer to receive the stimulus money through the mail. As of June, 120 million people had received the stimulus money via direct deposit. 35 million were sent a check in the mail and 4 million were sent a debit card. The IRS hasn't provided an update on how many people received stimulus check by August 1st. Finally, when is the latest date you could receive another stimulus check? Once again, the schedule for the first stimulus check may provide an indication, but there's no official news until another rescue package is finalized. The IRS will have sent out about 200 million checks by the time the agency is done distributing the first raft of payments. The majority of those were sent by the beginning of June. Through the IRS said it will continue to send payments through the end of the year. And here are some very useful links on where you could find more help. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And these are all the latest news we have so far for today. And as more information comes to light, I will keep you guys updated. So if you guys want to remain updated and current on these stimulus check and stimulus package developments, you might want to consider subscribing to the channel so you always know when these videos come out. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, give this a thumbs up, give this a like. It lets me know that you guys found this video useful or at the very least interesting. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.